engineers have it way worse than producers because, at least with producers, on paper, we're expected to have creative input into the song. Engineers, you're just supposed to shut up and compress the vocals.
At some point, the level of quality that the world needs for this to be competitive cannot be achieved by one person. So you have to collaborate and understand that Pain One got the expertise that you don't have.
I've been around long enough to see like just things come and go, right? Like for a minute, people were making a good amount of money on Kickstarter and, that kind of burned out. And it was kind of Patreon, that kind of like different ways to raise money or to promote stuff. And then there's kind of a burnout. Either too many people start doing it or on the consumer side, people keep seeing it. Like, look, even now, everybody, I guess there's a company called Grouped. I keep seeing these grouped things pop up or these little membership things. And like, I feel like consumers are going to get burned out of like, okay, I'm not joining 10, 15 different groups that I'm going to have to pay, $5 a month, $10 a month. Like, so some of these questions I'm asking, I kind of already know the answer to, but like how, because I see I see this as different, but like, are you looking at some of these things that have come and went and studying like, okay, this needs to be sticky. This needs to be something that can exist over the long haul and people aren't just going to kind of use it or try to take advantage of it or use it to scam. And then people are afraid of it or, are on to the next thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the reasons why the business model we're talking about now is actually a lot different than the last episode where we linked up. Because in the last episode, if you remember, a lot of my focus was on creator control, creator monetization, creators making more money, creators being able to control their distribution, which is a good feature, but it's not sticky enough for consumers. And there's actually a number of different ways that you can do that. So even though blockchain technology solves that in a cool way, the question you asked was really important, which is, well, what is the long-term benefit to the entire ecosystem that makes this very impactful, not just a tool that, could be replaced by Bandcamp or something like that on the creator side. So one of the things you mentioned is really important. Is people are going to get fatigued from joining all these little things and paying monthly to be a part of this and paying monthly to be a part of that. But in this case, you're not paying, you're getting paid. So what we've actually seen is that people want to be a part of as many of these as they can. People actually go into our Discord and complain because they say, you didn't give us notice that this was happening tomorrow. Like, we've been on your mailing list, you were supposed to tell us. So people actually are demanding this. They want to know when these opportunities are happening. And then the other piece that's really important is that we view ourselves as an infrastructure company, not another app. I think the music industry has seen too many apps. They come and go. There's a million different apps you can use. What we really need is a piece of infrastructure that enables people to participate with the technology, but also enables other applications and developers to leverage the technology within their own applications. So that, again, that's why we talked about, like, what if we did a collaboration with Two Lost, where the consumer doesn't even have to deal with a new app, but it's just under the hood in terms of what's happening on the distribution side. So I think that's really, really important to view it as an infrastructure play versus just another app that, we've seen a million of those on the music side.
Got you. We could definitely cue that conversation up soon.
Yeah, I would love it.
we could figure that out. I don't know if Ice Spice fits into this, but what do you guys think? What's the Ice Spice thing? Maybe.
Yeah. Can I ask you? So, okay, do you mind getting more into your music career and your background as a
for sure.
artist? Yeah. All right, I'm just curious because I'm a producer, so I know a lot about Dallas Austin, and a lot of people watching this, if they don't know about Dallas Austin, they've probably seen the TLC movie. Yep. Dallas Austin was in there having all these women fighting over him. Great producer.
Drumline is based on his life with Nick Cannon.
Yeah, so it's crazy how embedded in pop culture Dallas Austin is, but I also feel like he's kind of an unsung hero because he's not in people's faces as much as, say, like a Jermaine Dupri, who was connected and big in that same era. Yeah. And Jermaine just put his voice on a lot of tracks. Dallas Austin didn't do that. What was it like as an artist being signed to a producer?
Dallas is probably my favorite person in the music industry, bar none. You guys have been in the music industry, so you know how the music industry is. He is just 100% genuine, 100% kind, and a once-in-a-lifetime talent to work with and to see. So when I first met him, it was over Instagram. He had seen a video I put out for a song called Streets of Gold. And I did this thing where I had a Tesla floating in the background. It was 3D, and he's super into like futuristic stuff. So he DMs me like, yo, this is crazy. We got to link up. You know, I'm starting a distribution company. I fly to Atlanta. I go to his house. And I just never felt so welcomed by somebody that was at his scale. I think that the thing that was coolest about him was he also understood the technology piece. So Dallas was my first investor and foremost. He also invested in the company. And, you know, you mentioned JD. Like every time I go to his house, JD's there, like on the couch, or like he got celebrities coming through all the time. It's not a big deal to him. To me, I'm like, yo, I've been seeing this person on TV my whole life. Like, this is fire. So it was amazing. And what's also cool about it is seeing how Dallas actually empathizes with the same exact stuff that we are talking about. Producers, artists who are not Songwriters Hall of Fame or Grammy Award winning like he is. But he's like, nah, this is a problem. Like, it wasn't like this when I was coming up. It's not supposed to be this way. The deals are bad. The streaming economics are not great. And so he gets that. So both creatively, business-wise, and from a mentorship perspective, it's been life-changing working with Dallas.
So just you as an artist coming into a space created by a producer.
Yeah.
What is that like? I mean, signing to a producer, obviously it's you're signing to a label, right? But it's a little different because it's not a businessy type of person. It's a musician. You're signing to a musician.
Correct.
So was that better than signing to the business type? Was it worse? I mean, a lot of people who sign to artists have complaints about that.
Yeah.
Because the artist always takes priority. Dallas Austin never struck me as the limelight seeker. So was that different?
I think what you're saying is true, which is that because he's a producer, he was already kind of a behind the scenes guy, which was dope. But the thing about our relationship was it very quickly went from music to business. Because within like the first couple months of us knowing each other, it was like, yo, I think we can make more money in technology. Can you be my investor and let's start this company? So there wasn't really a ton of time where we was like in the studio or like working on albums. It was more like, okay, we signed that. I put out Unicorn. I told him like, yo, I think streaming is kind of broken. I have this idea. Would you be my first angel investor? He said, yeah. From this, it's really just been about technology and business.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So what was just one last production question, producer-artist relationship question. As an artist, because I assume you worked with him in an artist capacity and he worked with you in a producer capacity. What was the value of having someone with that much experience and wisdom as a producer being a part of the song creation process with you?
Well, okay, so Unicorn was done before I signed with Dallas. So I already had the album done, but he was able to give me insight into which songs mattered more than others based on his experience. So, for example,
we just had a convo about this A&Ring and how a lot of artists don't have an A&R.
Yeah, like I did a show in Atlanta and he was like, yo, why aren't you performing such and such? And I was like, well, I don't know if it's going to hit. He was like, no, that's the best song. No, you got to perform that. So it was things like that. And also just like stories that he had. So he'd be like, yo, you're overthinking it. When I was in Paris working on 4 or 5 seconds with Ye, this is how we did it. Like, all you got to do is, it should only take 5 minutes if it feels right. So it's just little insight, little things like that. But to be honest, like, we're still kind of collaborating now as we've gotten further into the business side. I'm trying to get more creative, but a lot of my time has been so dedicated to performance. I haven't been able to spend as much time in the studio as I would like to.
Oh, that must be hard.
Yeah, that's all.
Yeah, we just talked about A&Ring and the lack of, and a lot of times like artists are resistant to it. Like they don't have people in their camp because that's like their sounding board because they don't seek it out. They don't think they need it. You know, they can do everything themselves. Would that have been you if it wasn't Dallas Austin, or were you pretty open, or did you have
so many mistakes? No, I made so many mistakes. So okay, when I first met Timbaland, he was the first producer that was like. So as an artist, you go from a point where like you just have to believe in yourself. Nobody believes in you, right? So you have to tell people like, I don't care what you think, because if I cared what you thought, I probably wouldn't even be an artist at all. Okay, So you have that phase. Then you get somebody with the credibility like a Tim who comes in and says like, yo, it's dope, but you're not working hard enough. you're getting blocked on things like writing a song. I need 10 songs tomorrow. And I'm like, oh, I didn't realize it was like that. So now you have somebody with that weight that can actually coach you to tell you what it takes to be a professional. So that was kind of level one of that. That's what I experienced when I met him. Now, with that being said, when I was younger, I definitely had the problem that you guys are mentioning, which was I didn't really want to take advice from anybody else. And so even like the producers I was working with, they were like, yo, if you mix it like this, it's not gonna sound right. And I'd be like, nah, just please keep it, like cut all the low end out of my voice. They'd be like, yo, it's gonna ruin the song. Did it anyway. Now I look back, I listen to it now, I'm like, damn.
I'm so triggered by this.
Probably been a lot better if I left it the way you said. So, that's just maturity, I think, over time. A lot of the best artists, they're willing to, they get that self-awareness faster than others, I think.
That's crucial. That's what you just shared right now. I think is crucial. We gotta clip that piece and definitely put it on a loop on the MEC page.
Yeah.
I'm living this right now. I don't know. This is the reason I put out that tweet where I said engineers have it way worse than producers because, at least with producers on paper, we're expected to have creative input into the song. Engineers, you're just supposed to shut up and compress the vocals. And it's like, no, they have good ideas too. And there's a lot of crossover between producers and engineers. And I imagine when you're working with someone like Dallas Austin and Timberland, or even, someone that's nowhere near close to their level, like DJ Payne 1, they dabble in both.
Yeah.
And so like with me, I was mixing tracks for artists and, you want to try something like, I promise you this sounds good. I swear. I only have a couple hit songs out, but I swear this sounds good. And then it's a fight every time. It's like, no, I like how my demo sounded. I'm like, if you like how your demo sounded, why are we talking right now? You know what I mean? So it's just
about being creative, right? It's like,
yeah.
I mean, part of that as an artist, you got to respect it because it's like, all right, you have a point of view as an artist, and a lot of our favorite artists are like that. But like, at some point, what I've realized over time is that at some point, it's just like software. At some point, the level of quality that the world needs for this to be competitive cannot be achieved by one person. So you have to collaborate and understand that Payne 1 got the expertise that you don't have. And that's why Kanye is who he is, because he's able to synthesize the best talents. That's why he goes to Tim and says, nobody else can do these drums but you. And so, again, it's a self-awareness thing, I think, with younger artists, at least for me when I was younger, just coming to that self-awareness.
Well, and I think an important distinction, too, is you're a business person and you've probably been entrepreneurial. And that takes a lot of stubborn individualism,
right?
But it also takes a lot of collaboration. And, you can't just go to an investor's table and say, this is all me. You have zero input. I'm doing it my whole way. Give me $1 million. It's not going to work that way. You know what I mean? But a lot of people approach music that way.
You can try. It just doesn't work, like you said. So the question is, how fast can you come to the realization of what's going to work and what's not going to work? And I think that's the issue is you really want to become self-aware as fast as possible. The faster you can know who you are and what your role is in this space, then the faster other people can help you.
So, I want to talk about that self-awareness a little bit more. My assumption is that when you started making music, you were like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to be playing arenas, for the stadiums, blowing it up. Is that correct and a correct assumption? Because I know you've been making music for a really long time.
I would say it's partially correct. I mean, my first passion was actually technology when I was younger.
Okay.
I was very, very deep into computers when I was a kid. I think I might have shared this in the last episode, but I lived in a homeless shelter when I was a teenager, and like computers was just like my escape. Hip hop was a later thing where it was just like, well, I've been through a lot of the same stuff you guys are talking about. Like, I kind of want to share my story too. And it became a passion for me over time. Now, once it started to not make business sense for me and I realized how much it was going to cost, that was a self-awareness thing where I had to say, like, all right, listen, you got a son, you got a wife, you're in Los Angeles, like the finances, like even though I'm doing a lot of vanity things that are dope, I'm on FaceTime with Tim, all these things, the finances aren't making sense. And I know I could be making more money in technology. So although, like you said, like I would love to have played Coachella with Unicorn, I had to make that decision to say, okay, really, I think the future of music is business anyway. It's still going to be business and technology. So let me let me take advantage of some of the things that I know how to do, and we'll see where it goes from there. And so, I never would have met Dallas if I didn't make that change. And I think over time, as you just tap into what your native gifts are, you start to find people who kind of share some of the same visions.
I love that. I think something that we are big proponents on here is like using music as a tool.
Yeah.
And I feel like you are such a keen example. I'm like in a similar place where it's like I was in music for so long, and now I feel like I work more adjacent to music.
Right.
I learned that music didn't make enough sense for me money wise and energy wise. But again, building a technology company, Comtech, it's a little bit more feely, less technical than what you're doing, but building that here in Austin while also doing a lot more consulting and saying like, hey, I don't want to work directly with creators, but I can help you in this company find solutions because I spent so much time working with creators. And I think your story is so encouraging because you're not, I think sometimes especially when like Dame says it, Dame is like everybody doesn't have to make music. I think the music is so important though, because it's input, and being a part of that ecosystem shows you where you should be headed or where you could be headed. But a lot of people are so holding on to this like finite, hyper focused dream that I want to be a superstar producer or I want to be the biggest rapper. And it's like, man, your understanding of the flaws and the frustrations and complications of the music industry could actually help you make a space for artists coming behind you who are very similar to you, who need the options that you didn't have when you were making music, to say that now it can be affordable, and not only affordable, but I can make money as a smaller creator who's aggregated a small community of people who are surrounding me. So I think if our audience takes anything from this, is that like, one, really trust that pivot, and two, be open to where the music takes you, and don't just hold on to the music is the solution. I think the music, like you said, is part of the solution. You would have never met Dallas, who then invested in your company, but you being willing to pivot allowed you to maximize that opportunity versus just saying, well, I'm signed to Dad. And it's like, that's dope, but where does that go? You know what I'm saying? And I think so many artists and creators are so stuck on, well, I got a feature with da-da-da, or I did this thing, or I'm doing this thing. And it's like, I had to relinquish my identity as a manager and a booking agent. I'm like, cool, I own these two companies. We employ 12 people, but I'm frustrated and angry. And every month I'm trying to figure out how to make payroll and how to make sure that I'm okay. How to, you know what I'm saying? Like, why am I paying 12 people and I'm struggling to pay my own bills? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So like when I stepped back and I pivoted, it's like I'm using these same skills and tools in so many different ways. I'm sleeping more. I'm way more focused, and I understand and it's like the purpose is still to push creators. I still want to push artists, but instead of pushing them from below and they're the barrier to the opportunity, I just went around and started creating the opportunity and pulling them up. So I'm just super encouraged. I think you said it, self-awareness is so robust and necessary. And I think you got to go through hitting your head to get there. So we're not discouraging people from making stupid decisions. I'm again very headstrong, stubborn, like Dame said, but I'm also willing to have input, and I'm also very reflective. Like, I was in New York with Dave last week, and I was like, yo, I realized I was being a dumbass about this. You know what I'm saying? But I had to get to that moment, and he let me get there. Yeah. So it's I think community is super important, but just personal awareness. I think you're living in your next era of greatness. I listened to your music. I think you were dope. When I met you and you were like, yeah, the music is dope. A lot of technologists say they make music, and yours is actually really dope. So you were great in that era, and then you're moving to your next era of greatness, which is just allows you to move on. So I'm encouraged. I just want to thank you. I know that was a monologue, but I think you're super dope. And the more, again, every time I talk to you, I learn more and I understand more about what you're building. So more power to you.
Thank you so much. I mean, it means a lot. I can't emphasize enough how much that encourages me. As you know, as an entrepreneur, there's ups and downs. So when you hear, positive affirmation, it means a lot. I appreciate it.
Yeah, number one, the music was surprisingly good the first time I heard it, because I don't have high expectations from certain folks. But I was like, yeah, this shit actually kind of bangs. But my last comment will be hopefully for the people that are watching this. You know, I always get on artists because I think, you know, too often they draw this line between being an artist and being a business person, and they think that's not what they should be doing. They don't lean into that. Even when I believe, like, one, you kind of have to if you're going to build a business and you don't have a team. But two, like, you have the skill set. A lot of people have the skill set. They just want to ignore it. Maybe they're lazy. They don't want to learn. But it's not like if you're an artist, you can't learn the business side. I feel like more artists need to embrace both sides. And once you start exploring the opportunities on the business side, shit, you might even find that you like that shit more, or, you know, you figure out a way to blend the two better. So that's just kind of my last message is, if you're listening to this, like, you know, there's nothing about you being an artist that says, hey, because you're an artist, it makes learning the business that much harder, or you can't learn the business. Like, lean into both. You're going to have to anyway. And I think you're a good representation of, like, both things, like the creative and the business side. So,
and to learn more about Brandon Torrey, there's a great big story episode about him, which he is not mentioning. But if you're a fan of that channel, and, you know, they have millions and millions of followers, the Great Big Story on YouTube has an episode called The Genius of Rapper and Coder Brandon Torrey. So check that out.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
No.
Yeah, I mean, everything you guys said resonates so much, and all of you are doing the same thing. I mean, I think it's a new generation of multi-dimensional talent. You know what I mean? I think the old idea of us all being a part of one box that's over. Now we all got to do multiple things. We all got to collaborate. And I think that's where we're headed. That's why I named it Formless.
Yeah. It's just going the opposite way. It's like starting out being more business and now, you know, being more creative.
Exactly.
But let's go ahead and wrap this up. If you want 3 months free music distribution, just go to 2Lost, use the promo code @odds. Also tap in every Monday at 12. I have my office hour session. Brandon, you're more than welcome to join an office hour session. It's something similar. It's live every Monday at 12. We cover different topics. But it's been dope. It's still a pretty small community. But even when I was at Indie Week last week, I had a few people come up to me and show appreciation for 2Lost office hours. I feel like I've been having great guests. So I'll circle back with you about scheduling and office hours, Brandon. But
perfect. Let me know.
Appreciate you, Brandon.
Thank you.
It always makes sense when you speak. It's not like all the conversations I have with the Web3 people that just degrade into condescension after the first reply. It's bad out here.
I love what you guys are doing too. So keep up the great work.
Cool, man. We appreciate you. Appreciate everyone for tuning in. We will be back same time, same place here on @odds. Peace.
Peace.